All right, welcome everyone. It is episode number 3 of Broad Street and Beyond. I am JT, that is Chase in the middle, and we're going to be talking all things Philadelphia sports and beyond. But before we get to that, my friends, we have our very first guest here on the pod. Chase, he's got some connections. He made a couple of calls, and we thought, well, you know, we're right here smack dab in the middle of the Major League Baseball postseason, and Chase had a great idea. He thought, let's bring on
one great idea.
Former World Series champion. He is a Cedar Crest grad. He's a University of Virginia grad. He's a World Series champion. He is Derek Fisher. Welcome to the pod, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, this is gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we've been looking forward to this all week. We're going to get into your thoughts on what's going on right now in the Major League Baseball postseason, and maybe your thoughts on the World Series here in just a few moments. You know, you began your pro career back in 2016. I think the following year is when you made your debut in the majors with Houston. But before that, some people might not know, you had a great career at the University of Virginia. Now, you were initially drafted out of high school, but opted instead to play in college. So talk a little bit about your career at UVA and your experience there and how you feel that helped prepare you for your professional career.
From the start, you know, I was a Central Pennsylvania kid. Always wanted to play Major League Baseball. The thought of professional baseball at a high school is like the coolest sounding thing of all time. So obviously there's a lot of decisions to make at a young age, and like, quite frankly, you shouldn't have to make these decisions at that age, right? And it's one of those things that I feel like when I committed to the University of Virginia, I was so locked in on their program and the people that they recruited and the type of program they were building. To be completely honest, I wasn't entirely sure, and this will all come back full circle. I was not entirely sure if the coaching staff was going to be there when I arrived, just because they had gotten to be a very good program from essentially almost losing the program entirely. And Brian O'Connor took over in 2003, I believe, and he brought with him Kevin McMullen and Carl Kuhn, and they, as a coaching staff, stayed together. I don't exactly know the year, but I would say just shy of 20 years together. So they, as a group, were at UVA, and I wasn't sure if they were going to be there because I knew that they were that good of a coaching staff, and I wanted to be able to play for the coaches that recruited me. Now, fast forward, that coaching staff just left. You know, they were there for over 20 years, and the coaching staff has just gone to Mississippi State. But I would say my experience at the University of Virginia and the coaching staff under Brian O'Connor and Kevin McMullen and Carl Kuhn, built who I am today. And as a kid that wanted to play professional baseball so bad, I am the smartest decision other than marrying the woman that I did. The next best thing I did was go to the University of Virginia, and I don't really know where I would be without that.
Derek, we appreciate the time, man. I got to say, you were the 9th best prospect in the country back in 2011 in your high school class, man. Just talk about the pressure that you felt, if any. You were drafted by the Rangers, obviously, right out of high school. That's a lot of pressure on a high school kid, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm thankful that it was kind of late hype for me. I wasn't a kid that really anybody knew about, and Kevin McMullen was the first guy that I talked to, and I think it was my sophomore year of high school, and I could tell he saw a lot more in me at that point in my life than anybody else. So he asked me and was like, "Hey, have any professional teams reached out?" And it sounded like the biggest pipe dream at that moment. It didn't make sense to me. And he told me it was going to come, and I think that kind of guidance from somebody that kind of trusts you at a young age, and you're about to hop into a world that is quite frankly going to smack you right in the face. So going through that whole process with a coaching staff that believed in you at a young age, and getting drafted, and having all this hype in your senior year of high school, but quite frankly, I think somebody that can take all the credit. Chris Groff was my high school coach, and we went into the gym and we looked at the banners, and he was like, you want a banner. That's what we do this for. And you are playing with like your best friends. Right. So the hype and the pressure and all that stuff, it was a little bit easier to deal with when you were just having fun playing with a bunch of your buddies. Which is like times in my professional career that I had to always look back on, because like I truly just played the game for fun, and that was it. So yeah, I mean, I would say the hype in high school was hard to deal with, and quite frankly, I don't think I had, in my mind, I didn't have the greatest senior year. And looking back on that, it was like the first step of like facing the world that you were about to like be in. You know,
when you were drafted out of high school by Texas, was that a difficult decision to make, or were you pretty well set that you wanted to go and play college ball, or was that something that you wrestled with a little bit?
I know I thought about it for sure, but I had some people really close to me early in my life that are still, thankfully around today. Matt Knox is a guy that I can give a lot of credit to, and he was somebody that I could kind of fall back on and be able to, ask some of these questions, and he would kind of give me a little bit of guidance towards like how to feel and how to go about each day. So he was somebody I looked towards who really helped me kind of get through a lot of these situations.
Go back to when that Texas Ranger scout came to see you at your visit. Just talk about that experience alone of the Texas Ranger scout coming here to Central PA.
It's a crazy process with all the people that are involved, and a guy that not many people talk about, the area scouts and a lot of the processes, but I had an area scout by the name of Rick Matsko, who is a Western Pennsylvania guy who was awesome throughout the whole process, and I think that kind of made it a little bit easier to have more of a personal relationship with somebody who came into your home very early into the process. So with all of the people that are involved in the draft, and you have all the scouting directors and all these different people, they all come to Central Pennsylvania, and like it's not exactly a place that you come all the time to watch baseball.
So Derek, as I said earlier, we're kind of in the cusp of the World Series here. Lots of times when you hear about the World Series, one of the games that's always going to stick in my head in World Series history, Game 5 of 2017. You're involved in that wild 13-12 win, the Astros over the Dodgers. You end up scoring the winning run. Just talk about what do you remember from that game besides scoring the winning run? That is considered one of the best games in World Series history. And what are some of the things that stick out from that game?
I think the whole series in general, and I think I'm not dodging the question, but I think a game that really gets overlooked in that series is Game 2 in LA. And Marwin Gonzalez hit a home run off Kenley Jansen in the top of the 9th inning. And I think if that moment doesn't happen, I'm not sure the result's the same as what it was. And then obviously Game 5 is a game that's one of my best memories of my life. And it's funny because as a kid you have all these like aspirations and all of these things you want to do, and you want to play for 10 years, or you want to play till you're 40, and you don't really think about like winning a World Series because it's not many people get the opportunity to do that. So it's kind of bittersweet for me because as a kid, and as I sit here today, I wish my career went in a completely different direction. But then I'm like, I never in a million years would have thought I'd win a World Series. So it's kind of a bittersweet one for me, but obviously the opportunity, the experience, it's something as a young, ignorant kid you think is going to happen a lot, and it certainly doesn't.
And you're still living in Houston now, Derek, too. Do you ever really have to buy a drink when you go out in Houston?
Nah, I wish people knew a little bit more, but I don't really want people to honestly. I want to kind of be known for just who I am and how I treat people, and just being a normal guy. I don't really want people to know me for a baseball player or the guy in Houston, or the only reason they want to talk to me, the only thing I want to talk about is baseball. And it's quite frankly the opposite. I want to just get to know people now, and have people know me for who I am, and how I treat others.
Who on that team did you get to know pretty well? Is there anyone that you are real tight with still, or really good friends with that you keep in touch with to this day?
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, I got to play for a minor league organization that was so good. I mean, every team I played on was so good. All my teammates were great. We won the entire way through, and it's you just got. It was fun winning with the same group of guys, and as you moved up through each level, and then you supplement guys in the draft, and it's kind of fun coming up through the minor leagues, especially getting to know some of the Latin players, and understanding them and where they come from, and understanding what makes them tick, and you really just got to kind of broaden your lens on people, and you really get to understand where people come from. And as you come up through the minor leagues, you get to then win games together, and then ultimately in the big leagues you're playing with a lot of those same guys. And today I sit here in my living room, and I'm watching those same guys, and it's fun to see because you know where everybody comes from, and you understand how hard it is. And then you get away from the game, and then you start to think about the people that have been doing it for generations, and then you throw in guys like Justin Verlander, where I was watching him growing up, playing him on video games, then I played with him, and now I'm still watching him. It's it's truly impressive of how the greats of our game, and all sports, the people that can they can adjust with age, they can adjust with what they have, and it's really fun to watch.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that too. I mean, you obviously have Kershaw, who's going to retire at the end of this year, Shohei Ohtani for the Dodgers as well. Two of probably the best pitchers in all of baseball. You actually hit home runs off of both of those guys. Talk about that experience too, man.
Yeah, I don't have many. I don't have many. I don't have many homers. I have a little note. I have a little notepad of homers, and it fits on a sticky note. I don't have many of them, but it was it's fun. It's fun to look back and be able to remember those moments. But it's just funny because when you're in the moment, you don't really soak it all in, because you're a competitor, and you not expect that from yourself, but you kind of expect that from yourself. And now it's fun to look back and be able to just kind of remember those moments. And regardless of how my career ended, it's you get to again, Clayton Kershaw, another guy, growing up watching him, playing him in video games when I'm 15, and then you play against the guy, and then it's he's retiring at the end of the year, but the guy had a 3.5 ERA or something. It might even be better than that. It's hats off, dude. It's crazy how good people can be for how long they play this game.
Yeah, I think of even last night watching Max Scherzer pitch. He's certainly he's 41 years old in the twilight of his career, and he goes out and he throws something like 5-6 great innings last night, and just turns back the clock. So what are your thoughts on what you've seen so far in this postseason? As we record this, you got the Dodgers up 3-0, and the Brewers, the Blue Jays, another one of your former teams, tied up in the ALCS with the Mariners. Your thoughts on what you've seen so far in the postseason and how it's unfolded?
It's been a ton of fun to watch. I can't admit that I watch much during the regular season, but I certainly tune in for the postseason. Man, I was talking to somebody today about this. What's interesting about the game now is the two kind of not scariest, but the two most efficient offenses in the postseason. To me, the Dodgers are kind of an outlier just because of sheer talent and roster. But you throw in Toronto and Milwaukee, and they were they don't punch out. They put the ball in play, and it's so funny how the game kind of transitions. And I was watching the Toronto and Seattle game the other night, and that was a big thing that they mentioned, where Seattle's kind of the bashers, and they're going to punch out, but they're going to hit some homers. And then you had Toronto, where they obviously have some pop in that lineup, but they're putting the ball in play. And it's just interesting to me to see kind of what plays in the postseason versus kind of the aspect that the game was kind of getting pushed. But you see when it really comes down to, to win in the postseason, it's funny to see how, what these teams have that necessarily during the last 10 years of baseball, it's been a decent transition into walks, strikeouts, and homers.
And talk about those two guys that are on Toronto, too. I mean, you came up through the system with Teoscar Hernandez, and also, George Springer, of course, from the Blue Jays as well. Talk a little bit about those guys and any influences that those guys had in your career at all, too.
Teoscar was, we're about the same age. Teoscar was like a level ahead of me in the minor leagues. And everybody always talked about him. He was on he was with like Carlos Correa and Lance McCullers with them coming up, and he was in Double-A in 2015, and it was like the first year that he'd struggled. And in 2016, that was my first year in Double-A, and I got to play with Teoscar in 2016, and I was like, this guy's like the real deal. He's different, he's just different. And like when he hits a ball, when he's hitting the ball, it's just a different sound. And you're around it all day, every day, and it's just the sound of the ball off the bat is just different. And he like couldn't be a better human being. Fun fact, actually, of the podcast, Teoscar Hernandez's wife went to Lebanon High School.
That's right. I've heard that.
And I found that out about halfway through, and it blew my doors off. I couldn't believe that. And then you got George. Man, George was somebody I looked up to. He was drafted in 2011. I knew who he was even when he was in college. I knew who he was. He was when he was a first round pick, and then I remember when I signed in 2014, we came to Houston and signed, and it was me and Jimbo and George. I believe that was George's rookie year, and his like personality and the way he carried himself was always something that was always fun to be around. And he's got superstar accolades, but he doesn't act or want anybody to treat him like a superstar, and I think that says a lot about somebody, in my opinion. And he's definitely somebody who makes the team better. That's no questions asked. And he always rakes in Seattle, so that wasn't surprising either.
Derek, I've often read that when for pro baseball players, one of the biggest transitions you make in your career coming up through the minors is in Double-A. That if you can make that transition to Double-A, getting up to Triple-A, and then to majors, you're well on your way. Was that the case with you? And if not, at what level did you find the biggest adjustments that you had to make in your path up to the majors?
Yeah, certainly. I would certainly say Double-A for sure. There's like a little thing. There's like this wives' tale that's out there that says like SEC baseball is Double-A. Like that's like no. It's like it's the real deal, man. It's like the first time you feel like you can't really breathe, and you don't really have anybody on the opposing team that's like an easy out or like an easy knock. You have guys in the bullpen that are all shoot. I mean, back then, I can only imagine now. I mean, everybody in the bullpen's probably throwing 95 plus, and if they're not, they're doing something funky, which probably makes them even better. Yeah, I mean, it's the big grind is a lot of the travel. Double-A everywhere is buses. You're taking, I mean, for us, like the average bus trip was 8 hours.
Wow.
And you're traveling after a night game, and you bus in that night and you play the next day. It's a big grind. And then on top of it, the competition is pretty consistent. I would say the difference is probably the consistency of the talent, right? And how often can you show up every day? And that's what makes the great players great. And those guys show up for 162, and it's a lot easier said than done. But yeah, Double-A for me, I could definitely agree with that. Yeah, there's There's you see a lot of the same guys. You know, you're not playing a ton of teams, which makes it tough. I mean, I guess you get to know each other a little bit, but yeah, I mean, a lot of teams are going to have righties that throw 100 and lefties that throw 100, and good luck.
You had a lot of great moments, Derek, in your career, not only at the high school level, also when you got to the minor leagues. Probably a couple dates that probably are in the back of your mind and you remember. June 14th, 2017, you were called up to the big leagues. Your dad was on hand. You had a heck of a game, man. 2 for 3. Your first major league hit was a home run. Also talk about when you were at High A Lancaster and you broke that 61-year record in that game where you had 12 RBIs in the game alone. It probably still stands at High A Lancaster, man, where you broke that record. Talk about those 2 moments in your career that are pretty special moments for you.
Yeah. I mean, since we can go chronologically. It was my first game for the Lancaster Jethawks. Actually, I guess they pronounce it Lancaster. And it's just renownedly known in that league that it's extremely hitter friendly. It was an away game, actually, at like probably the most hitter friendly ballpark in all of minor league baseball. So all the stars just kind of aligned, right? And on the way to the ballpark, it was just like everybody talked about how, you know, the wind blows out and the ball flies, and they weren't lying. I think it was solo homer. I think I actually punched out twice. That's a shocker. I had a lot of those too, and I think it went. Was it 2 grand slams? I think it was 2 grand slams, a solar homer, and a bases clearing triple, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know how that adds up. I'm not sure if
6,
that math
3
is
home
mathing.
runs, 2 grand slams, a double, and 12 RBIs.
Oh yeah, that's right. I slid past the bag at third base. Yeah, I was an idiot. Yeah.
That's not a bad
slid
line,
past.
man.
Yeah. And the stars aligned. I felt good. It was the first game with a new team, so like you want to impress the guys and you want to like do well, right? And it was a lot of the guys that I'd gotten drafted with. They were moving a little bit faster than me. JD Davis and AJ Reed were 2 guys that I just came up through the minor leagues with the whole way. We were drafted the same year, and they were on the team, and we had a pretty badass team, I will say. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. It's hard to make Lancaster, California fun. I'm sorry. I'm sure nobody from there is going to hear this, but
Some say that about Lancaster, Pennsylvania too.
Bingo, yeah. But it was fun. It was fun. We all, you know, we won games and we hit a ton of homers because that's basically all that league is about, is just homers.
And talk about that call up in the major leagues, man. I remember when you were called up. We were at the beach at the time, and I had the MLB Network on. You were all that they talked about that day when you were getting called up on the MLB Network. Had to be pretty special for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, 2017 for me was a year that I really kind of found it, and I felt probably the best I'd ever felt in the box, and I ended 2016 feeling great, and I'd finished in AAA in 2016. I played maybe a month and a half there, and I felt great, and I went into 17 and I was really, I was feeling really good about what I was doing at the plate and just at, you know, all facets of my game. And yeah, June came around, and quite frankly, I was hitting very well, getting to that moment, and I was like kind of cooling off a little bit. And it was funny because I was, you know, as it's hard not to, kind of in your head, and you're just like hoping it's going to come, because you know, I was hitting, you know, I was swinging it for about two or 3 months, and then we were in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I mean, that's probably a 2-hour time difference from East Coast, and I got, you know, we all kind of huddled up in the locker room, and that's what's fun about AAA is you get to see guys get called up and get to experience it with everybody, and it's obviously the most fun when it's the first time, and so it was like shocking to me. You know, my dad nor my mom answered the phone because it was probably like 1 o'clock or midnight. So that was interesting. Them waking up and having to make those travel plans. But yeah, it was pretty awesome, and it was obviously I couldn't have even drawn it up myself to first hit being a homer. Yeah, I mean, and being able to have experience it with everybody, and everybody was able to be there and make it and experience it that night was a lot of fun.
Derek, I think it may have been like kind of around when you were starting to make your way into the majors, but it was maybe around that time that analytics feels like it's really started to become a big part of baseball and has only become an even bigger part. What is, and now it just seems like there's so much information available to a major league player. What was your experience with sort of the analytics part of the game, kind of how you digested all that information, and what was that like for you?
It was eye opening. It was interesting. It was fun. It just kind of shed light on an aspect of baseball that nobody saw coming, and then just kind of started to get better and better and better. And as they've implemented the technology and the minds behind the technology, quite frankly, and I think there's a good place for it. And I think it's a love-hate relationship, and I think something as a baseball player, it's hard not to think like one. And as I got further into my career, and now that I've been done for a few years, and it's I guess the best way for me to describe it is you have to think like an owner. You got to think like the people that kind of make the sport go round, and they're the ones that can bring in a lot of the money, and they're the ones that are paying for these teams, and they're the one paying for the players. And I think with the technology and the people behind it, I think it's economic in a way, and it also is a way to kind of track players and progress, and to make intelligent decisions and contracts and business decisions that cost a lot of money. And I think as players, we forget how big the industry is and how much money it brings in and how much money is moving around. And I think the more we can think like an owner, and you would make the same decisions. And maybe as a player that might not sit well with you, but if you can think like an owner, and the people that are bringing in the money, and paying the money, they're successful businessmen for a reason, all of them. So it's an interesting topic, and I could probably go on for hours about it. But yeah, I think the best way to say is the game's going in the right direction, and the things that they've wanted to change are changing. And I would say more people are probably watching because the games are shorter. And hand up, I will fall liable for saying that I didn't think that would happen. I didn't think the games would get shorter. I didn't think these rules would really shorten the games as much as they have. And as a fan of baseball, I want everybody to be fans of baseball. And the more people that watch it will create more fans. And I think they're doing a good job of that.
Kind of a two-part question, Derek. You played for the Astros, the Brewers, Blue Jays. Obviously, ended your career by getting picked up by the Twins. Out of all those teams, which one had the best fan base? And obviously, during your career, too, being from Cedar Crest, you were linked to multiple trades when the Phillies would make a trade that Derek Fisher's coming to Philadelphia. He's coming back home. Did you ever have any opportunity to come back to Philadelphia or actually play for the Phillies and play for like a local hometown team at all?
As a player, you have no say. I can only say what was, said to me. I think it was just a trade that was put together, and somebody in the trade didn't pass a physical, and the trade was kind of reconfigured. And it's funny because the trade was for Ken Giles, and I ended up playing with Ken in Houston.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a cool full circle moment. And it's one of those things as a player. Again, it's hard not to think the grass is greener on the other side, because it's certainly not. I mean, the culture that we had in Houston was like incredible, and I think it's hard as a player to believe that it can't be like that other places. And the Houston Astros, man, from the top to bottom, from the front office to all the players, I mean, the team in the clubhouse was the best thing I've ever been around, and I think that's a testament to the minor leagues and the way the system was built, and the way that we all kind of developed together, and the kind of the precedent that was set in the big leagues that everybody believed in, and the people that were involved, and I think with a roster of like that magnitude, and this is coming. I'm coming from the 25th man on the roster. The roster configuration and the personalities that came with the abilities is like so hard to put together that I don't think a lot of people can understand. And the personalities and the lack of ego in the clubhouse was impressive. Yeah. And I would say, I spent then the second most time in Toronto, and my career did not go the way I wanted it to go in Toronto, and I have no ill feelings about Toronto. I mean, that place, like playing for an entire country, is like the coolest thing of all time. The city of Toronto is awesome. Unfortunately, most of my time was COVID, and we didn't really get to experience it, the way that Toronto deserves to be experienced for quite some time. But shoot, man, I mean, it was just a matter of time until that team is as good as they are now. And adding George a few years ago, and Vladdy is just getting going. I mean, Bo unfortunately is hurt, but I mean, dude, they've had a good core for a long time, and John Schneider is like A+. He's an awesome guy, and they've got the right pieces, and seeing what they're doing now, it's not surprising at all.
Derek, we were chatting a little bit about this before you jumped on the podcast, but you're married now. You're a dad to an 8-month-old. Just tell us what that's been like, being a dad and that transition.
I'll tell you what, it's eye-opening. It made me understand and realize very fast that I married the right person. I mean, it was my expectations were pretty low, and I expected to have sleepless nights and messes of all colors and sorts, and it quite frankly was the opposite. And I mean, that's a credit to my wife, and that's I married the right person, man. I know that. I think being a dad now, it's pretty crazy to think like my day-to-day life and kind of how I treat myself and how I treat others, and I mean, it's a blessing. That's for sure. God willing, we have more, but for right now, we got an 8-month-old that's going to turn into a bobcat here in about a year, and I'm excited / very scared.
Nervous.
Yeah.
Before we let you go, Derek, I got to know, man, you're down in Houston now, still living down there. How's that golf game of yours right now?
I'm mad at the game of golf in the best way possible. As a newly working man in the real world, the rounds of golf have quickly decreased. But I think I played enough golf over the last 2.5 years, for an entire village. So, I love it. It's a game that I'm not surprised a lot of ex-athletes get into. It's not easy. I think it's the hardest game in the world. And I hope I get to play it forever.
Derek, before we let you go, this last question, got to put you on the spot. Okay, so you are a Falcon. So finish the line here.
No, you're not going to do it, are you? You're not asking him the question.
I'm not going to sing it.
No, you got to sing it. You got to sing it.
Cedar Crest High School, gray and the blue, will proudly serve you.
He ain't gonna know.
Oh,
he ain't gonna know.
I've been out for so long.
Oh no!
Oh, what is
it? This to the AD.
What is it?
Wait till I tell Chris Groff that you got this wrong. It's loyal and true.
Loyal and true.
Where's the true false one? Where's the true false?
Oh, dude, I'm 32 now.
Oh man,
it is. I mean, it is. It hurts my soul. My boss took his son to Cooperstown, New York, to play at Dreams Park, and he sent me a picture. His son had hit his first and second ever home run, and Sends me a picture, and right before I sent it, I said, like, I thought it was 10 years ago. 20, brother.
Wow. That's all right.
I'm sorry.
We ain't gonna hold it against you. Trust me.
We won't hold it against you, Derek. We
Chris will
really
understand.
appreciate you. We really appreciate you coming on the pod here, being our first guest, and talking about your experiences in the majors and coming up in your pro career. This has been a lot of fun, and best of luck to you the rest of the way.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. I mean, thanks for having me. I hope it's not the last. It's awesome that I'm the first, but I hope it ain't the last.